نبيوته قربوا داخنا الدوبر اللي خيسا داودي في سليمان في ورين سنان ديرتو قبوتو خيسا جرا ونخني واحد دوان نوتي أكا برنوتا تلي خيري نوتي الرافية دنو الدوف كيسا قبا سلا ربي فدني نما تقف دوبا دي بيه وان داوود سليمان حسن دراين ها فياده نمني وان حركاكا بدربت صداتو من جابو جانبه قاقبتين ايسي قفا حمد حسن دراين جبو هارون ميك السالي أبا في إلما خنا خيسا داود في سليمان إسا بكا جبتو نوجين والقبط يواو دليل الرافضان نمني يادتو به ورمي رقاق نديرو آمي فداء أمته ودين تبقى رجرها للرها آمي دبادوه صوتي والفوري دبادو عن صوتي نما قبون في العرة آها أقلي حكمة نبينا سليمان أصوي نتكالا ربي ساخني إسا عمرين أمتا كل لما وان أجائبا مرتي أبان إسا قولي حرام لي أبان قولي جيشورامي أكا إرجعالو أكا مرتين واني داك فولا هدوكا بدي فولا هدوكا باجمال فولي هندي سري تاي خرجعالو فولا إرجعالو رب سبحانه وتعالى سليمان هو بجيب نيجي ففهمناها سليمان جدو تجار سا أبان سا فتوى قولي سون حرام لي جيشورامي لأنه فولا هدوكا بدي ونقول فولا إرجع بؤاك أبو أبا بيلدات فيس أبا أويروتي فيس سان سليمان هو الشيف لي سان خرب بين سبحانه وتعالى وصوت إكالا أما تقول لا ما هو نقامان خلا ما هم منو تقام نخلا أما تقول لا ما بروتيمي أما تقول لا ما خلتي علمي ببريد دون سن حكمة سليمان الرأرجمون وان إني بودا درجة إني بودا أركتتنا درجة بودا إني أركتتنا أكد أبو ديم سنة ما قد سيسجد شورا دو حكمة جبا وسقراطي نقلين جولة سنجخات سنجيمي سهل أبو جولة مجا ديما فوق الرندا كامي مال تيسا سيبني هاسوتني بخامي هاي كابو هاي مال جي چورن جاورن تكو مال زغالان كبدني خبروا به خبروا بيدو بدو ابو خارد بدل هاي جرو نمني أدو هارا ودقي أدو تك هارا ودقي أصو جرجري إنفار سنة أصون عرب سنة أصو ريفنة أصو جمدة بطرانة خيسو بتوقع قبل إيجا رفتونيس يجهو بتني جمدونيس يجهو بتني خراب لي جمدي بودا فالله ستاتي بلاش ولا كسي وتالي كان جند ركرامي خراب لي لالتي رفتي بودا بتي هاي سبلاش مر رفتي كان جند دبي خيس وبجون أمام تكبريد دو أكتاتي برني حياة خيستي دبي في الراه كل ليس هو يجون وقا هدهداسون شمبروسا سليماني أحدت بما لم تحط به وجئتك من سبأ بنبأ يقين يقاجت مال جين سليمان سننظر أصدقت أم كنت من الكاذبين ما قادوا بينك يقول لغاتي في لغاته والأبوسا نلالا نهبنا يجونسا لغاتي وان برنوتا رافرتين راتوكو خبرو نبينا داود إساء تكا إساء رجولي بادية رئيدو كان جي وانا ما عمرين سا أمتا مراسة غرق كلامي كاتي جالوتي ناتو بحاجتون سنين إرافجو دبهيتي مجان نمتجي مجا أبو مجا يا أبو سيوا حركة في مبليسو مجا فولا خي يدرا ديبي سجيسون جيبا جنان أنا مو سجيسون في الآخر موجه مجا تكشاسو مجا نمتجي سو يو فقود مجا سن جيبي كما سانكيس نبوسا نمتجي مجا وانا جري بار مجا لكن رب سبحانه وتعالى وام في الدلغا داوس ركسي جينوم سي غرغارو سنين اجايبا جا مجا نرا فني بكذا وان نغرو دي مسابه امرو انا درو ويصوت إنسان وما تكو هاي عمي سبوتي هاي عمي ايوه
يعني تيناني قدوم تيجي ويواتي تاني بقى الداري سيوكو تيناني دينا تكوس نلمو تيسيكيني بقى أمودين أفرسو يعني سموه فيدي نلمو تيجي بيجي
دبيل أخت نبينا سليمان عليه الصلاة والسلام دبرتي لمان إلماني رولول تساني يا داجا نمني هون أكا إني تحكا سنباسو دندي وإني أسنبا قمتي سنبيتا ظاهرة خنا هاتي علمو وانا ركاقبدو نبينا داود وقايس علمو ركاقبدو فولا سيدا أبدا فولا سيدا أبدا بكا مرتي بكا تيوار رقاني جرب تا علمو ركاقبدو تا يوقاهي متوس رقاسي چمسيتي سبچيب شرعا سنماف مرتي قولدو لكن سليمان توفتا بروتيني علمو سنتين يوكتاتي اتلقى بخرا
إسافي أصحاباسا إسافي متخيثه بريتو جيد ألاتي جاندوبا إيمانتون زيارة جانب زيارة بردوفن لم يكن المسلمون مبالغين مسلمتوني واداجو أقال يدي مرجو ليلات خارق الشجاعة جينما بيسي ساج الله لو قمدورا بك جبيه الأجرتو بيتني جين جدوبا تات انجينا جدوبا أنا كقما يا من نخن قدامي أبا أولان بلا جولي أولا جمع كما الصدا سبيك بي مسلسل نفني أسامان كما سوى جراسي انجا ورانا تيخور دوا بكم نبي تدابرا أمانة وخواتم عملك وقال إن رأيت يو يادي قراب الدنيا بار الظلمات بيتي جابرا أعرف من تاب إلى بيجاهن ثم عاد أصابوا مجات يزن دي النجاة وان إسلام جاني أباني سلين موتورين جانيد ورنا من سادو يدوا وجعلت قريش قياسي على ميمنة فرسراء مغامرة أما حقوقي يوم جانا باي دان دان نام سغالي لولان دان دبان سغالي تولاني جساني أجاجي هاري دامي أخ كريم وابن أخ كريم جلت نما فإن سب الميت نمدو قوتي روسا فارس بلتو وبدت الدهشة على وجههم رفا
14 centuries ago, God sent down to humanity the Quran as a book of guidance. He called upon people to be guided to the truth by adhering to this book. Since the day of its revelation to the day of resurrection, this last divine book will remain the sole guide for humanity. The matchless style of the Quran and the superior wisdom in it are definite evidence that it is the Word of God. In addition, the Quran has many miraculous attributes proving that it is a revelation from God. One of these attributes is the fact that a number of scientific truths that we have only been able to uncover by the technology of the 20th century were stated in the Quran 1,400 years ago. Of course, the Quran is not a book of science. However, many scientific facts that are expressed in an extremely concise and profound manner in its verses have only been discovered with the technology of the 20th century. These facts could not have been known at the time of the Quran's revelation, and this is still more proof that the Quran is the Word of God. In order to understand the scientific miracle of the Quran, we must first take a look at the level of science at the time when this holy book was revealed. In the 7th century, when the Quran was revealed, Arab society had many superstitious and groundless beliefs where scientific issues were concerned. Lacking the technology to examine the universe and nature, these early Arabs believed in legends inherited from past generations. They supposed, for example, that mountains supported the sky above. They believed that the world was flat and that there were high mountains at both its ends. It was thought that these mountains were pillars that kept the vault of heaven high above. However, all these superstitious beliefs of Arab society were eliminated with the Quran. The verse, "God is He who raised up the heavens without any support," for example, invalidated the belief that the sky remains above because of the mountains. In many other subjects, important facts were revealed at a time when no one could have known them. The Quran, which was revealed at a time when people knew very little about astronomy, physics, or biology, contains key facts on a variety of subjects such as the creation of the universe, the creation of the human being, the structure of the atmosphere, and the delicate balances that make life on Earth possible. Let us now take a look at some of the scientific truths revealed in the Quran. The origin of the universe is described in the Quran in the following verse. He is the originator of the heavens and the earth. This information given in the Quran is in full agreement with the findings of contemporary science. The conclusion that astrophysics has reached today is that the entire universe, together with the dimensions of matter and time, came into existence as a result of a great explosion that occurred in no time. This event, known as the Big Bang, produced the entire universe about 15 billion years ago, creating it from nothingness as a result of the explosion of a single point. Modern scientific circles are in agreement that the Big Bang is the only rational and provable explanation of the beginning of the universe and of how the universe came into being. Before the Big Bang, there was no such thing as matter. From a condition of non-existence in which neither matter nor energy nor even time existed, and which can only be defined metaphysically, matter, energy and time were all created. This fact, only recently discovered by modern physics, was announced to us in the Quran 1,400 years ago. In the Quran, which was revealed 14 centuries ago, at a time when the science of astronomy was still primitive, the expansion of the universe was described like this. And it is we who have constructed the heaven with might, and verily it is we who are steadily expanding it. The word heaven, as stated in this verse, is used in various places in the Quran with the meaning of space and universe. Here again, the word is used with this meaning. In other words, in the Quran, it is communicated that the universe expands. And this is the very conclusion that science has reached today. Until the dawn of the 20th century, the only view prevailing in the world of science was that the universe has a constant nature, and it has existed since infinite time. The research, observations and calculations carried out by means of modern technology, however, revealed that the universe in fact had a beginning and that it constantly expands. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Russian physicist Alexander Friedmann and the Belgian cosmologist Georges Lemaitre theoretically calculated that the universe is in constant motion and that it is expanding. This fact was proved also by observational data in 1929. While observing the sky with a telescope, Edwin Hubble, the American astronomer, discovered that the stars and galaxies were constantly moving away from each other. A universe where everything constantly moves away from each other implied a constantly expanding universe. The observations carried out in the following years verified that the universe constantly expands. This fact was explained in the Quran when it was yet unknown by anyone. This is because the Quran is the word of God, the Creator, and the ruler of the entire universe. While referring to the sun and the moon in the Quran, it is emphasized that each moves in a certain orbit. It is He who created the night and the day, and the sun and the moon. They swim along, each in an orbit. It is mentioned in another verse too, that the sun is not static, but moves in a certain orbit. And the sun runs to its resting place. That is the decree of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. These facts, communicated in the Quran, have been discovered by astronomical observations in our age. According to the calculations of experts on astronomy, the Sun is travelling at the enormous speed of 720,000 kilometres an hour in the direction of the star Vega in a particular orbit called the solar apex. This means that the Sun travels roughly 17,280,000 kilometres a day. Along with the Sun, all planets and satellites within the gravitational system of the Sun also travel the same distance. In addition, all the stars in the universe are in a similar planned motion. That the entire universe is full of paths and orbits such as this one is inscribed in the Quran as follows: by the sky full of paths and orbits. There are about 200 billion galaxies in the universe, consisting of nearly 200 billion stars in each. Most of these stars have planets, and most of those planets have satellites. All of these heavenly bodies move in very precisely computed orbits. For millions of years, each has been swimming along in its own orbit in perfect harmony and order with all the others. Moreover, many comets also move along in the orbits determined for them. The orbits in the universe do not only belong to celestial bodies. The galaxies also travel at enormous speeds in computed, planned orbits. During these movements, none of these celestial bodies cut across another's path or collide with another. Indeed, it has been observed that some galaxies pass through each other with none of their components touching each other. Surely, at the time the Quran was revealed, humankind did not possess today's telescopes or advanced observation technologies to observe space in a range of millions of kilometres, nor the modern knowledge of physics or astronomy. Therefore, at that time, it was not possible to determine scientifically that space is full of paths and orbits, as stated in the verse. However, this was openly declared to us in the Quran that was revealed at that time, because the Quran is the Word of God. In the Quran, God calls our attention to a very interesting attribute of the sky. We made the sky a preserved and protected roof, yet still they turn away from our signs. This attribute of the sky has been proved by scientific research done in the 20th century. The atmosphere surrounding the Earth serves crucial functions for the continuity of life. While destroying many meteors, big and small, as they approach the Earth, it prevents them from falling to Earth and harming living things. In addition, the atmosphere filters the light rays coming from space that are harmful to living beings. Interestingly, the atmosphere lets only harmless and useful rays, visible light, near ultraviolet light, and radio waves pass through. All of this radiation is vital for life. Near ultraviolet rays, which are only partially let in by the atmosphere, are very important for the photosynthesis of plants and for the survival of all living beings. The majority of the intensive ultraviolet rays emitted from the sun are filtered out by the ozone layer of the atmosphere, and only a limited and essential part of the ultraviolet spectrum reaches the Earth. The protective function of the atmosphere does not end here. The atmosphere also protects the Earth from the freezing cold of the space, which is about -270 degrees centigrade. It is not only the atmosphere that protects the Earth from harmful effects. In addition to the atmosphere, the Van Allen belt, a layer caused by the magnetic field of the Earth, also serves as a shield against the harmful radiation that threatens our planet. This radiation, which is constantly emitted by the Sun and other stars, is deadly to living things. If the Van Allen belt did not exist, the massive outbursts of energy called solar flares that occur frequently in the Sun would destroy all life on Earth. The energy transmitted in just one of these flashes detected in recent years was calculated to be the equivalent to 100 billion atomic bombs, similar to the one dropped on Hiroshima. "58 hours after the flash, it was observed that the magnetic needles of compasses displayed unusual movement, and 250 kilometers above the Earth's atmosphere, the temperature suddenly increased to 2,500 degrees Celsius. In short, a perfect system is at work high above the Earth. It surrounds our world and protects it against external threats. Scientists only learned about it recently, yet centuries ago we were informed in the Quran about the world's atmosphere functioning as a protective shield. The 11th verse of Surat At-Tariq in the Quran refers to the returning function of the sky. By heaven with its cyclical systems. This word, interpreted as cyclical in Quran translations, also has meanings of sending back or returning. As known, the atmosphere surrounding the Earth consists of many layers. Each layer serves an important purpose for life's benefit. Research has revealed that these layers have the function of turning the materials or rays they are exposed to back into space or back down to Earth. Now let us examine with a few examples this recycling function of the layers encircling the Earth. The troposphere, 13 to 15 kilometers above the Earth, enables water vapor rising from the surface to be condensed and turned back down to the Earth as rain. The ozone layer, at an altitude of 25 kilometers, reflects harmful radiation and ultraviolet light coming from space and turns both back into space. The ionosphere reflects radio waves broadcast from the Earth back down to different parts of the world, just like a passive communications satellite, and thus makes wireless communication, radio and television broadcasting possible over long distances. The fact that this property of the sky's layers, which could only be scientifically discovered recently, was declared centuries ago in the Quran, once again demonstrates that the Quran is the Word of God. One fact about the universe revealed in the verses of the Quran is that the sky is made up of 7 layers. It is He who created everything on the earth for you and then directed His attention up to heaven and arranged it into 7 regular heavens. He has knowledge of all things. Then He turned to heaven when it was smoke. In 2 days He determined them as 7 heavens and revealed in every heaven its own mandate. The word heavens, which appears in many verses in the Quran, is used to refer to the sky of the earth as well as the entire universe. Given this meaning of the word, it is seen that the earth's sky, or the atmosphere, is made up of 7 layers.